Henry Ford was the richest person in the world with a net worth of $1.2 billion, which is equivalent to over $200 billion today. Once a journalist asked him about his estimated wealth, he replied, "I don't know and I don't care." He only passed 8th grade and without any education, only due to his interest in mechanics at a very young age, was able to make his own cars. He worked with Tesla and Westinghouse on Westinghouse induction motor. Later, he also worked with Thomas Edison. His mentor Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Ford created two failed ventures, Detroit Automobile Company and Henry Ford Company. Later was renamed to Cadillac Automobile Company. But finally, he was able to create a giant company called Ford Motor Company, which revolutionized the automobile industry in the world. Even after 119 years of its establishment, Ford Motor Company is successfully operating, with $136.3 billion annual revenue, and employs over 186,000 employees worldwide. Want to know how someone like Henry Ford, who did not have any fancy degrees, created a company that is thriving even today? Watch the full video. Henry Ford, the world's richest person of the time. We at Business Chronicles tell the stories of extraordinarily successful people. Please subscribe to our channel to help us in making more videos. In 1863, Henry Ford was born in Spring Wells Township, Michigan. He was the son of the farmer William Ford and Mary Ford. Due to his family's financial conditions, he studied at the local one-room school for 8 years and left school when he finished 8th grade exams and did not attend high school, because he chose to take a bookkeeping course at a commercial school. However, he favored mechanics, and at age 12, he was mostly found in a small machine shop he set up. At age 15, he would construct his first steam engine and even could reassemble his father's pocket watch, which gained him the reputation as a watch repairman. In 1879, at the age of 16, he left for Detroit, a nearby city at Spring Wells, to take a job as an apprentice machinist. He later returned and worked at his parents' prosperous farm at Dearborn in 1882 while learning to operate the Westinghouse portable engine. This skill led to his hiring of Westinghouse. In 1885, he repaired an Otto engine, a German low RPM machine. In 1887, he created a 4-cycle model with a 1-inch bore and a 3-inch stroke. By 1890, he began his work on a 2-cylinder engine. In 1891, Ford served as an engineer at the Edison Illuminating Company of Detroit. By 6 November 1893, he became chief engineer in the said company. Due to his promotion as chief engineer, Ford had more funds for his experiments and research on gasoline engines. By 1896, he completed a self-propelled vehicle called Ford Quadricycle. He test drove his creation and thought of ways to improve it. Working in this company led to Thomas Edison becoming Ford's lifelong friend and mentor. It was possible when the latter met the former in 1896. Edison also approved the work and experimentation of Ford on gasoline engines and automobiles. It led to the second Ford vehicle in 1898. In 1899, Ford and his backers formed the Detroit Automobile Company. This transpired after he resigned from the Edison Company. One of his backers was William Murphy, a Detroit lumber tycoon. With the backers, the Detroit Automobile Company sought to profit for its investors. By January 1900, the company constructed its first automobile in the form of a gas-powered delivery truck. The newspaper had favorable coverage of this product, but it also had its limitations from being heavy, slow, and complicated to produce. The company dissolved by January 1901. Before its closure, there were 20 vehicles manufactured by the Detroit Automobile Company. However, there was around $86,000 of investment lost with the company. According to Ford, looking back on this company, it was driven by profit instead of innovation. In 1901, stockholders of the Detroit Automobile Company reformed the company into the Henry Ford Company. Ford served as the chief engineer of this newly formed venture. However, like its predecessors, the Henry Ford Company had its internal disputes between Ford and the investors. It led to the former leaving the company in 1902. Later in 1902, Henry Leland suggested the reorganization of the Henry Ford Company because its chief engineer left, which led to the formation of the Cadillac Automobile Company. Once Ford left the Henry Ford Company, Ford worked on creating an 80-plus horsepower racer, which would win Racing Championship of 1902. The 999 led to the backing of coal dealer Alexander Malcomson and their partnership to manufacture automobiles. They created Ford and Malcomson Limited and leased a factory to manufacture inexpensive automobiles. They also contracted John and Horace Dodge, who owned a machine shop. However, the brothers demanded payment for the first shipment of parts. In 1903, the requirement of the first payment of the Dodge brothers led to the formation of the Ford Motor Company. With 13 individuals who invested $28,000, Ford Motor Company was founded. The investors were Henry Ford, Alexander Malcomson, John Dodge, Horace Dodge, James Couzens, John Gray, John Anderson, and Horace Rackham. John Gray became the elected president because Ford was volatile. However, Ford owned 25.5% of the company, and he later became the controlling owner and president by 1906. A month after the company's establishment, the Model A was manufactured in Detroit. This model was the first Ford car assembled with a 2-cylinder and 8-horsepower engine. During his time, manufacturing cars took time and only a few could create automobiles in a day. For Ford, this had to change with their company, and he dedicated his efforts to producing reliable automobiles efficiently. The result was the Model T. Model T debuted in 1908 and its production lasted until 1927. This Ford model underlined the company's efforts to provide automobiles that were affordable to many. Before its production, there were 8 car models made before Model T. Its development began in January 1907 with a team of machinist C.J. Smith, engineer Harold Willis, and draftsman Joseph Gallamp. The team worked at Piquette Avenue in Detroit. However, Model T began the production and labor innovations of the Ford Company because Henry Ford applied mass production. It would spark a revolutionary aspect in the American industries, from the use of large production plants to the use of a moving assembly line. These efforts entailed the decrease of time in producing automobiles while also maintaining low costs. Ford also impacted the standards in the manufacturing and automobile industry as he increased daily wage in 1914. At the time, he increased the 8-hour workday for the workforce from $5 to $2.34 for a 9-hour workday. This initiative set the standard in the American industry. However, Ford was against labor unions because of the harm it brings to workers. Still, Ford innovated the manufacturing business by providing steady wages for its workers while having a 5-day, 40-hour workweek. By 1918, half of the cars in the United States were Model Ts, while he gave his son Edsel the position of president of the company in 1919. However, Henry Ford still had full control of the operations of the company. In 1920, Ford had sole ownership of the company by purchasing all minority stocks available. As a sole owner, he moved production of the company to Dearborn, Michigan in 1927. This production complex included steel mills, glass factories, assembly lines, and other departments necessary for automobile production. At the time, the company ceased producing Model Ts and shifted to Model As, which had better brakes and horsepower. Likewise, the late 1920s signified Ford Motor Company as the biggest automobile producer in the world. In 1927, Model A was introduced and its production lasted until 1931. Throughout its production life, Model A amounted to around 4 million units manufactured. By 1932, Henry Ford revealed the flathead Ford V8 with the first low-priced 8-cylinder engine. This engine would be present in Ford automobiles for the next 20 years, and as a result of Henry's secret project in 1930. Ford resumed his post as president in 1943 when his son passed away. He retired from the presidency in 1945. A year later, he received an award for his efforts and contributions to the automotive industry. Later in 1946, he received another award for his work for the welfare of humanity. By 1947, he passed away at the age of 83. During the First World War, Henry Ford showed his philanthropy by funding a peace ship to Europe. He would also establish 1936 the Ford Foundation. However, one charitable effort Ford and his wife Clara gave to their community was the formation of the Henry Ford Hospital in 1915. The Ford family funded the construction of the buildings and their furnishings. Some estimates also indicate that Ford gave about 33% of his income to charity. He also gave away food, money, and automobiles, according to biographer William Greenleaf. One account tells the story of when Ford gave away all the money in his pocket, around $200, to an elderly farmer couple he met in Massachusetts. Henry Ford's interest in mechanics enabled him to learn about motors at a very young age. He was lucky to have mentors like Thomas Edison, George Westinghouse, and Nikola Tesla. Learning from legendary inventors enabled Henry Ford to master skills that were not very common. He was in high demand, and investors were ready to invest large sums in his ventures. Once he established Ford Motor Company, he knew cars were the future, and one day every house will own at least one. For that, he made production faster and created the supply chain, which made his cars cheaper, making him one of the richest people in the history of the world. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this.